Well, thank you for joining us for Bible Bits today. Here we are once again, the very last day of October 31st, 2022, 78 degrees in Phoenix. And for those of you who know me, you can go to, my playlist this time last year, and you'll find a much more informative commentary on this, probably in Bible questions or, questions that we'd ask. Um, But once again, we're faced with this, what some would consider a holiday. And it's almost embarrassing for the culture, too, because when you think about it, you know, um, there's nothing innocent or benign about such a day as Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. There's no light in darkness. There's no honor in something that is hidden only in shame. Now, when we were little kids, at most, our parents put us out with a bed sheet and maybe cut two holes for our eyes to see where we're walking. Put a pillowcase, gave us a pillowcase for our candy collection. Hoped we wouldn't come back with so many candies, so we'd have dental problems. So few had a mask, and if that, it was a rubber band strapped over their eyes for a 29-cent kind. The sheet was kind of a costume. Most kids didn't care about what you called it. They just wanted to, for them, they just called it, it was Christmas before Christmas because they wanted to get all the free candy they could get without paying for it. And as long as their supply lasted down at the local store, well, why would they care what you called the holiday? They just knew it was free candy that day. So my question to you out there is, would you really send your 5-year-old out with ghosts, witches, and goblins if you really believed that that's what they were? Now, the Halloween history is the origin of Halloween can be traced back to the Celtic festival of Samhain, and it's a tradition held at the end of the summer when sacrifices were made to the gods of the Druid tradition. The adherents believed that Samhain, the god of death, scattered evil spirits during this time throughout the world to attack humans. These evil spirits played nasty tricks. As soon as the dark winter and the waning of the sun set in. To escape the attack, humans would assume disguises and make themselves look like evil spirits too, so they'd be confused. Halloween is also one of the favorite times of years for witches and the advocates of Wicca, and Wicca is the official religion of witchcraft. Wiccan adherents believe that on the night of October 31st, the separation of physical and spiritual realities has its thinnest and least guarded, and so it is best for those with necromantic abilities to speak from the dead. Now, pagan Halloween and Christian tradition, well, as Christianity spread throughout Europe, it came into conflict with the indigenous pagan beliefs. The organized church basically challenged the established customs by trying to introduce Christian alternatives. Although Christianity gained some converts, many were adamant, and so missionaries succeeded only in Christianizing pagan rituals. They were able to introduce Christian symbols and practices to the pagan traditions, like the All Hallows Eve remembrance. Now, the missionaries injected the All Saints' Day concept into the pagan Halloween celebration. They introduced the evening of the All Saints' Day before the All Hallows Eve. And when that time of solemn remembrance of martyrs begins, the term derived from hallowed, which means holy, and Hallows Eve was shortened to Halloween, which eventually became Halloween over the years. The only difference between the two practices is that the early Christians' observance of Halloween never involved wearing costumes. It was rather a solemn event focused on prayer and meditation. Sadly, though, the pagan practices held a remarkably strong influence that some of the new converts were unable to abandon their old customs altogether. So over the years, other Christians adopted these customs, and besides the commercialization that had come into play, thus the practice of trick or treat, costumes and adornments, and the makeup of the body coloring is very much alive even up to the present day. And the founder of the Church of Satan said that dressing up, either by costume or coloring oneself on Halloween, is tantamount to worshiping the devil. So they praised it all the more. And he was the founder, Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, and himself declared that in dressing up and coloring oneself and celebrating Halloween, it signifies that you allow Satan to own you. He further said that you adopt the pagan practices, you subconsciously dedicate yourself to the devil. He took joy in Christians who took part of this tradition. He said that, I'm glad the Christian parents let their parents worship the devil at least one night out of the year. Welcome to Halloween. And LaVey's statement is corroborated by a former Satanist, John Ramirez. And he said that when you dress up, even as an angel or a mermaid for Halloween, you give the devil the legal rights to change your identity. Ramirez further warned that there's a much darker reality in Halloween beyond costumes and candy. The former Satanist turned Christian pastor said in an interview in October of 2018. I was a general in the kingdom of darkness in witchcraft, he said. I would sit with the devil and talk to him like I was playing or talking to you today. It was that kind of communication. It was that kind of relationship. And so I say to you, I know the culture has kind of gotten us crazy. In fact, cult comes from culture. And there's the songs that we've adopted over the years. For instance, like Monster Mash, Ghostbusters, Casper the Friendly Ghost. It was innocent at first, but it came more and more and more progressive. Thriller, Vincent Price with his eerie ha 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 laugh at the end. And how many of us don't know This is Halloween from Jack Skellington? We all do. And Beetlejuice. We all know these things. Or I Put a Spell on You. Or even Alvin and the Chipmunks. I know the witch doctor, he fell in love with you, bop, 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 bop. And then there was Bewitched. And then there was Dark Shadows. And this one kills me, even the Addams Family, because I like the Addams Family. However, we knew as kids that these guys were so weird that it was an obvious spoof the way they lived. So, my neighbors, they decorated and lit up their houses weeks, if not months, before, as if this was their Christmas. Like Boingo says, it's a dead man's party. It's a dead man's party. And yet, this is what they call living? I'm not so sure. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Leave your comments below, your likes or dislikes. Join us daily, because we miss you, don't miss us. And again, think about it before you go out. Might not be to your best advantage. Have a good day in the Lord. May the Lord strengthen and keep you, and may you grow each day in Him. And dedicate your life to honoring God, because there's nothing that's honorable this Halloween in things that are apart from God. Always give your heart and soul to the Lord. You won't go wrong.